And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make Israel great again,
and we're going to make Israel great again.
we're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
White man, fight back! 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 White man, fight back!
And that's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits, or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off, and I feel better now thinking about that.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe.
Breaking news into our studio as 5 historically black colleges and universities are now on alert after receiving threats. And I did want to share what each of these universities and colleges are sharing with the public right here. This is a social media post from Hampton University stating that the university has received notice of a potential threat and has ceased all non-essential activity effective immediately. They say the safety and well-being of our students, faculty, staff, and visitors remain our highest priority. All campus activities and classes are canceled today and tomorrow, to include all athletic events and activities, and campus community is encouraged to conduct any meetings and remotely.
So let me get this straight. A white man shoots another white man at a PWI in one of the whitest states in our country, and HBCUs are getting threats. Much like J-Lo's entire career, this makes absolutely no sense.
Before I let you go, I want you to address one thing, and it's just the absurdity of it. Some of the internet rumors that somehow Israel is behind the Charlie Kirk murder, and I don't believe it for 1 second, but I want you to make a statement. It's so absurd.
That's insane. That's insane. Israel also changes the orbit of the moon. Israel pushes the sun. I mean, the whole thing it's not only insane, I think it's so absurd, so stupid, and so ridiculous. You can't believe that people are saying that.
Quick, hide in here. Now don't move until I tell you to. All right, open up. This is the police. he hiding? He's not in the stove. Whoa, he's hiding in that stove, eh? Now look, would I turn on this gas if my friend Rocky was in there? You might, Rabbit, you might. Well, would I throw a lighted match in there if my friend was in there? Well, all right, Rabbit, you've convinced me.
The largest ever U.S. delegation to Israel just took place. 250 state legislators from all 50 states arrived Monday for an event called 50 States, One Israel. They planted 50 trees at a site of the October 7th attacks and met with Israeli leaders. Netanyahu's office called it the biggest bipartisan visit of American lawmakers to Israel. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar urged them to push anti-BDS laws in their states, which are meant to discourage boycotts of Israel. So far, 38 states have already adopted such measures. Sa'ar described BDS as part of a coordinated global effort against Israel, saying the best response has been anti-BDS legislation. But the trip's timing sparked controversy. The very next day, the UN ruled for the first time that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, while Israel relaunched its ground invasion of Gaza City. And despite its scale and timing, this massive visit has barely been covered by international media. Only local Israeli outlets reported on it, leaving many to question why such a major event went largely unnoticed.
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to you guys. Before I get started here, can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, type 1. If I'm good, type 1. All right, can you guys hear me? All right. I'm seeing ones. Okay. Because as you can see, I'm not at home. I'm at my office at the temple. So what I decided to do, since there's a function going on, I decided to go ahead and do a live while I was sitting here. And I was just really replaying the discussion that we had last night and just replaying all what's been transpiring, playing out before us over the past, I want to say at least 10 years, maybe longer, and you guys know I've been teaching on this for actually since the start of this channel. I've been rebelling against the 1940s to the point that we would have brothers and sisters within this community questioning why am I rebelling against them and how am I able to do what I do. And a lot of the things nothing because I so make sure I can answer it. All right, how do I sound now? All right, can you guys hear me? All right, can you guys hear me? All right, so um, I didn't bring my main earphones with me at home. I left it at my office at home. So yeah, family. I was just I'm over here at the temple. I'm in my office at the temple, and of course we got a women's function going on in the other section here. And I was just sitting here thinking about everything that's playing out before us. Family, there's a lot of things that's going on. And I'm telling you, family, this, as you see here, the fierce nation of Japheth, that's what I'm dealing with right now. I'm going to cover that topic right now. I've been dealing with this for probably about 3 months, this subject, dealing with the atmosphere of change, just really walking through the book of Genesis and just really taking it line by line, precept upon precept in the academic world. It is called biblical hermeneutics, so I've really been taking my time presenting this to the people, right? And I just want to say this again, family. We are in an extremely dark time. The nation of the sons of Japheth, they are not playing. Now, I want to say this. As a matter of fact, let me do something real quick. Let me close my office door here. Let me do something here. All right. Sorry about that, family. Just want to close my office door. But as you can see, these guys are not playing, family. The sons of Japheth is not playing. And when you really start unpacking the battle of the Gog and Magog, and when you truly start unpacking that and seeing all the players, starting with understanding the book of Genesis, I'm telling you, everything just unravels. You get to see, especially when you understand all the players and see all the players that is on this chess board, you get to understand who is who. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. So, as you just saw here in the video that I shared, these guys had a secret meeting. And I've been saying this for years. When we start dealing with these politicians, we start understanding this political arena. It doesn't matter about Democrats. It doesn't matter about Republicans. It doesn't matter about independents. It doesn't matter about communism, because all of that points back to Rome. That's right. Communism also points back to Rome. Now, the only difference when we really start dealing with democracy, right, especially when we start dealing with the United States, only difference is it allows the people to have a vote. And as you can see, it's selective democracy. The Constitution makes it clear that this country is a republic. Let me say that again. This Constitution makes it clear that this country is a republic. So we know primarily you vote. It's not the people that's really voting for the president of the United States. When it's all said and done, the electoral college has the final say. They can overturn whatever votes that are made by whatever jurisdictions that they represent within whatever states. So when you really understand this beast, right? Because I know many within our in this awakening will give Putin credit and give China credit and get all excited about what they're doing. Let me tell you this again. All of them is part of the beast system. Let me say that again. All of these nations, all of these sons of Japheth is part of the beast system. Rome hijacked everything from other nations, and primarily the Babylonians, the Egyptians. When you really study the information, when you study their history, when you study their religion, when you study really go into their culture. But I want to say this again for our brothers and sisters, whether you're here in the United States, whether you are in other parts of this world, whether it's in the Caribbean, whether it's in different nations within Africa, I'm here to tell you that beast system is worldwide. That Roman system, that Babylonian system is worldwide. So many countries are that their political infrastructure is based off of this system, right? So I just want to reiterate that point. And I want to share with you this video again with politicians having secret meetings with Netanyahu over in Israel. 50 states, one Israel. They are all part of the system. The trick is the delusion, or should I say illusion, is making you feel as if your vote matters, political party matters, because this particular group of people have influence on both sides of the aisle. When you go back and you just really listen to some of Malcolm X's comments that he made about this community, and matter of fact, I will upload some clips here while we kind of freestyle a little bit, so you guys can understand. Because Malcolm X really went in, especially when he went in about people from our community. When you start understanding, for example, what's his name, Jeffries, that's representing the House, the minority of the House, right? When you understand what he's doing, he's on payroll with AIPAC. Most of these politicians are on payroll via the lobbyists from the 1948ers. That's the truth. They are on payroll. And I've been sitting back really watching a lot of things that's playing out in the politics. So let me play this video again, and I want you guys to post your comments inside the chat. Tell me what you think. And like I said, this is kind of like a freestyle here. I'll touch on a few things from the presentation that's up here, that's up on your screen. But let me play it one more time here so you guys can really understand what's going on. A secret meeting. Basically, this country is you might as well say, is the United States of the 1948ers. But here it is again. This is the secret meeting.
The largest ever U.S. delegation to Israel just took place. 250 state legislators from all 50 states arrived Monday for an event called 50 States, One Israel. They planted 50 trees at a site of the October 7th attacks and met with Israeli leaders. Netanyahu's office called it the biggest bipartisan visit of American lawmakers to Israel. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar urged them to push anti-BDS laws in their states, which are meant to discourage boycotts of Israel. So far, 38 states have already adopted such measures. Sa'ar described BDS as part of a coordinated global effort against Israel, saying the best response has been anti-BDS legislation. But the trip's timing sparked controversy. The very next day, the UN ruled for the first time that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, while Israel relaunched its ground invasion of Gaza City. And despite its scale and timing, this massive visit has barely been covered by international media. Only local Israeli outlets reported on it, leaving many to question why such a major event went largely unnoticed.
So as you heard with your ears, you saw with your own eyes, you see what they say and how they feel in the secret meetings that they're having. You see the agendas that are playing out. And I want to say this too, as I was about to put something inside this presentation to touch on. I want to say this, family. I want to say this because many of you guys don't understand that just how wicked their doctrine is. And I'm going to post it here because I saw an interview. In the interview that he had, Netanyahu, with one of the Fox representatives, and I play some of the clip here, he mentioned about, Judeo-Christianity. And I want to make it clear, family, these guys do not believe in the Messiah. And I want to share with you guys exactly what these guys say about the Messiah. Let me do something real quick. I'm actually updating my slide. I want you guys to hear exactly what they say about the Messiah. I'm going to read to you what they say about the Messiah. And let me just fix this slide real quick. All right. And we have to really start going deeper in our understanding. Let me bring this up here. I'm just cleaning up my slide. Like I said, I'm over here at the temple. And since I'm sitting here, I figure I might as well do something productive and really talk to you guys here. So let me fix this real quick. I'm just fixing the slide. You guys know I'm very, very meticulous when it comes to my presentations. All right. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and let me show you this here for those that may not know this. First thing I want to ask this question for some of you guys that's been following me for a while. What is the key attribute of the son of perdition? Do you guys remember that? What is the key attribute of the son of perdition? If you remember that, type it inside the comment section. What is the key attribute of the son of perdition? And I'm going to ask this again. What is the key attribute of the son of perdition? Someone posted throne addictions, deception. Let me put some of the comments on the screen. Throne addiction. We see deception. We see deception again. Shout outs to you guys. We see Todd Bridges, deception. All right. We see being against Christ. All right. Hamashiach. All right. Let's see what else, some other comments we see here. We see deceiver. We see lies. We see against Christ. All right. Let's see what else we have here. That's right. We have to be warriors. We have to be warriors, right? Standing against the lies, right? Let's see. He deceitful. Deception. I think I have the answer that I'm looking for. A key attribute, right? Here it is from Hadassah. Look at this here. He wants to be worshiped. That is the key to the attributes of this beast. This beast wants to be worshiped. And I'm going to play a clip, and then we'll go and do some of the notes I have here. We're going to show you what their Talmud, in which Netanyahu, I have old presentations I've done 10 years ago showing Netanyahu saying that the Talmud, he was pushing for the Talmud to be the official law of the land for Israel, right? So I'll see if I could pull up those old news articles, and you'll see how dated the presentation is and how far I've come with my presentations. Then I'll show you that when we get to after I show you this here. All right, so let me show you a video clip so that way you guys can understand the key to the son of perdition. Right? Let me show you here. I want you guys probably remember this video, but let me let you hear, see, and listen for yourself. Use your discernment, family. Here we go.
And you know what else, Jim? I just want to say this to our Christian friends, you know, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you know, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us because we all die for your sins every single day. And that's exactly what's going on here.
Yeah.
We're all God's firstborn, and we're dying for your sins right now because the Jewish people in the land of Israel are the bulwark against the orcs.
Mhm.
Okay? The orcs are coming not to a theater near you, but to your home.
All right, sorry about that. I was moving my cup over here so I could get some orange juice. So you heard what this rabbi said to this pastor. He said that the Christians, right, everyone should be worshiping them, not worshiping and honoring one Messiah, that their entire community should be viewed as a Messiah. Come on, family. See, in Christianity and Catholicism, matter of fact, I'll just say all the Abrahamic faiths taught us, when I say us, our people, to be so institutionalized, to be so driven by having, for being accepted by them, that we just completely throw everything out the window. When I say everything out the window, values, understanding what the text truly says, our own heritage that was hijacked, taken from us, repackaged, and thrown right in our face. See, this is what they do. This is what they do, to where now they'll say, well, identity doesn't matter when it comes to our community. But we see that there is an assertive effort to what? Cover up, to erase our identity. But yet identity doesn't matter. They're quick to try to say who they are, which we can prove who they are not. They are so quick to, again, tell us that we have to let go of certain things. But whenever something happens, what happens? What occurs? No matter what Japheth on Japheth crime, that's what we're going to call it, right? We're going to say Japheth on Japheth crime. Whatever Japheth on Japheth crime take place, somehow the 1948 has put their plight to the front. So regardless of what happens, sorry about that, family. I just got me some orange juice here. So they always manage to put their plight at the forefront. They always, no matter what sentence or what discussion you have, they're going to always put at the end of the sentence the Holocaust. They're going to always make reference to that. They are getting free education. They are getting free health care. They are getting all of these things, the very things that we don't get. They're getting some form of reparations from the United States when the United States were the ones that supported them. Make that make sense? It makes absolutely sense when you really start unpacking the deception. Let's see what they say. Let's go into their Talmud, right? And let's get an idea of exactly what they say about starting with the Messiah. Because they want to be worshiped, as you just heard it here. Right? I have a clip from Dr. Brown. Dr. Mike Brown. Y'all remember Dr. Michael Brown? The Ashkenazi professor who's like really all over the place with his commentary. Y'all remember him. Let me play him real quick and then we'll get into it for some of you guys that may not know who he is, right? All over the place with his commentary. He double talks a lot. But listen to how he double talks in this video and then we'll go ahead and pull it up. Listen to this here. This is an example of double talk.
You say, well, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now emigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany, so they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japheth. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Michael Brown, I am Caucasian. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Japheth is a myth, 100% false, zero truth to it. Just study the history.
All right, so you hear the manipulation. You hear how he's all over the place, admitting to hijacking an identity, but then at the same time saying that, for example, when you start dealing with his grandfather, when his grandfather came, you hear the connection to what? Russia. You hear the connection to the Khazarians. You hear the connection to the Scythians. That's all in that territory. But you hear the manipulation. You hear the double talk. Now, if I had my video clip, I would play it here, just so that way you guys know, like, you guys know how I like to play my clips here, because if I play one of my other clips, like the garbage can clip, the way things are going, that may be considered a violent act. So I have to be careful not playing my garbage can clips, right? When it comes to that community, because everything is classified as anti-Semitic, right? So you cannot critique the 1948ers, right? So I have to even be careful of using certain clips, right? Just in case they might get offended and I get reported for violent acts of just showing a clip of, let's just say, a garbage can, like a clip like this, right? You guys know how I do this award, like the garbage can award. So you can't show things like that, even in humor, because of censorship. This beast is so manipulative that this beast now pretty much is going to own TikTok, literally. This beast is so manipulative, right? Matter of fact, this is what I would better describe when I hear Mike Brown speak. This is what comes to my mind. This is what really comes to my mind, right? Because he's all over the place. This is what it sounds like.
I was like, a hawk. You know, girl,
Right.
oh no.
Exactly.
Right?
And the bird did what?
Ooh, I said, bird, get back. Fly up, fly away.
Yeah.
Be gone, bye. Up in the sky, nice try, bye.
Right? That's what come to mind because that, anyway, y'all know I like humor, but that's what comes to mind because he's all over the place. But let's go ahead and stretch this out and let's deal with what they say about the Messiah. Let's see what the Talmud, and I'm going to show you receipts too, because here we show sources. Because what I've learned is you can't just say something without showing their own words. You do that, then you open yourself up for the things that come with the territory. So let me show you this here. Let's stretch this out. This is coming from the Talmud. Let's see what the Talmud say about the Messiah. Let's see what Judaism, because you are here. Well, Zionism is separate from Judaism. You can't put the two together. Even though Zionism embraced the Talmud, Judaism embraced the Talmud, they all embraced the Talmud, but they try to make distinctions and draw delimiters there, so that way you get this impression that, Zionism is the politics and Judaism is completely separate from that. And I'm going to show you the sources with Netanyahu literally pushing for the Talmud to become the law of the land. All right, so let's see what it says here. What does the religious writings of Judaism say about the Messiah? Look at what it says here. The Sanhedrin 43a, right? On the eve of Passover, Yeshua was hanged for 40 days before the execution took place. A herald went forth and cried, "He is going forth to be stoned. because he has practiced sorcery and enticed Israel to apostasy, in other words, falling away. Anyone who can say anything in his favor, let him come forward and plead on his own behalf. But since nothing was brought forward in his favor, he was hanged on the eve of the Passover. And look at what it goes on to say here. Do you suppose that he was one for whom a defense could be made? Was he not a Mesith, in other words, enticer, concerning whom Scripture says, "Neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him"? With Yeshu, however, it was different, for he was connected to the government. So, according to the Talmud, Hamashiach was connected to the government. He was a government agent, right? No kidding, family. Look at this here. You guys see it on the screen, right? According to their Talmud, right? The Messiah, he was a government agent, and you cannot make this up. He was a government agent. Sound familiar, right? Sound familiar. That is the spirit of Esau, right? That is the spirit of deception. That is the spirit of the son of perdition. That is the spirit of the fierce nation of Japheth. Sounds familiar, right? Sounds familiar. Yeah. Anyway, so they refer to him as being an agent. They call him an agent. In the Talmud, they call the Messiah an agent. You can't make this stuff up, family. But let's see what else it says. It says, our rabbis taught Yeshua or Yeshu had 5 disciples: Lathai, Naki, Nezer, Muni, and Toda. Right? But not going to get into all of that here. Let's continue. What does the religious writers of Judaism say about Miriam? This is what it says about Miriam. Balaam, also the son of Beor, the soothsayer, did the children of Israel slay with the sword, a soothsayer. But he was a prophet. Rabbi Johan said, at first he was a prophet, but subsequently a soothsayer. Rabbi Papa observed that this is what men say. She who was the descendant of princes and governors played the harlot with carpenters. So they call Mary basically a harlot. They call Mary a prostitute, saying that she was basically selling herself to carpenters, right? That this is in their Talmud. And in the footnotes, right, of this Talmud, this particular book, this is what you see here. It says, ship draggers, Hereford, Christianity and the Talmud, as far as that book, I have that book, suggests that Balaam is frequently used in the Talmud as a type for Christ. And it gives the reference of that book, right? And this is what they have to say. This is their response to that entry within that book. It says here, though the name is not mentioned to show which woman is meant, the mother of Jesus may be alluded to, which theory is strengthened by the statement that she made it with a carpenter. So what they're saying is there's validity to his accusation, because just that reference point of stating that she played the harlot with carpenters. Okay. All right. So it goes on to say here, well, the next thing I want to comment on, it says in my notes here, you see, according to that Israel, according to those people over there, according to the 1948ers, they teach that the Messiah was raised from the dead through necromancy. All the things that go against Torah, all the things that go against the law and the prophets, all the things that go against the commandments of the Father, right? Look at this here. This is coming from Safario, right? This is online, the Talmud Gittin. Matter of fact, let me put this inside the chat so that way you guys can vet the information at your leisure. Let me go here. All right. So I like to share sources, so no one can say that, hey, pastor is making this up. And you have uh, people within our community that that embrace Judaism, that try to make all kinds of attempts to say that this doesn't say what it mean. It doesn't mean what it says, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Right? Let me see here. Send this to the back. Yeah, you have them within our community that try to defend this stuff and try to give clarity to it where there's no clarity, there's no justification you can make towards this. It's really saying, literally saying that the Messiah practiced necromancy. Literally saying this. So, family, be careful of people that have embraced this Talmud and teaching this Talmud and defending this Talmud. And be careful of people like this.
I don't know why we leaving Master's house. He been good to us. He feed us on Saturday, clothe us on Sunday, and then beat us on Monday. Or was it Tuesday? I don't know.
Jasper, I said wants to go. I was a house again, Jasper.
What?
Jasper, don't you want freedom? We going to Promised Land. The Promised Land.
Promised Land? Cleveland?
No, Jasper.
Baltimore?
No, Jasper, the Promised Land.
Oh, the Promised Land.
Yeah, family, that's who we're dealing with. Those that's trying to tell us how we should think, especially with all the things that's going on around us. But let's go ahead and break this down real quick. Right? Get in 57a, look at what it says. Anklios then went and raised Jesus the Nazarene from the grave through necromancy. Wait a minute, family. Is that pretty clear? It says Anklios then went and raised Jesus the Nazarene from the grave through necromancy. Is that pretty straightforward? Is that beating around the bush? Is that, is it saying something different? Does it mean something different? Necromancy is what it is, dealing with dead people. It means exactly what it says. And pull it up with that link, family. You can walk this out with me and confirm this is coming from their source. Anklios then went and raised Jesus the Nazarene from the grave through necromancy. This whole section is dealing with Balaam and is dealing with the Messiah, right? Anklios said to him, who is the most important in the world where you are now? Jesus said to him, the Jewish people. Anklios asked him, should I then attach myself to them in this world? Jesus said to him, their welfare you shall seek, their misfortune you shall not seek. For anyone who touches them is regarded as if he were touching the apple of his eye. But we're not going to stop there. Look at what else it says about our Messiah. According to Judaism, Yahushua is in hell boiling in hot feces. Yes, family. Yes, family. And that same link that I dropped inside the comment section, it's inside the comment section. Pull it up. Because you see Balaam, you see the distinction between Balaam, and you see the distinction between the Messiah. Now let's see what it says about the Messiah. Anklios said to him, what is the punishment of that man? A euphemism for Jesus himself in the next world. Jesus said to him, he is punished with boiling excrements. As the master said, anyone who mocks the words of the sages will be sentenced to boiling excrements. This was his sin, as he mocked the words of the. Didn't put it all in here, but you guys get the gist of it. All right, let's go back here, and this is what I'm reading from. Look at right here, right? Look at this here. I'm going to zoom this in. I didn't put it all in, but the Gemara comments, come and see the difference between the center of Israel and the prophets of the nations of the world. As Balaam, who was a prophet, wished Israel harm, whereas Jesus, the Nazarene, who was a Jewish sinner, sought their well being. So it's trying to give a distinction between the two, but ultimately, the punishment is the punishment, saying that the Messiah is burning in dung. Punished with boiling dung. All right? So we see how wicked this Talmud is. Let me see if I can find this other source here with Netanyahu. It was an old video. It's an old, not video, old presentation I did about Netanyahu with news articles stating how he wants to make the Talmud the law of the land. All right, let me see if I can find it real quick. And we're going to deal with a couple of other things here. Let me see here. All right. I think it's in my upgrade evangelism presentation. So let me see here. Upgrade. All right, come on. Let's try this again. Upgrade evangelism. All right. Very old presentation. You're going to tell. You'll be able to tell by the graphics, but it doesn't take away from the effectiveness of the presentation. All right. Let me pull it up here, and I'm going to copy it over to this presentation. Let's see here. Is it in this one? All right, let's see here. It's not in this one. Let me see if I can find it. All right, if not, I have to pull it in. Oh man, and that's a lot to do because it's a pretty lengthy one there. Let me see here. Let me see if it's in this one. Let me see if it's in this one. It may be in this one. Let me see if it's in this one. Hopefully it is, and I don't have to try to manually add these. Here it is. It's going to be a little dated, family, but it's going to serve the purpose. You'll see. Let me see. Let me go to it here. I'm going to paste it in. I have to look for some of the other ones too, because I had a few of the news articles here. But I take these screen prints again for a reason, so that way no one can say, well, hey, I'm making that up, because they do have a tendency of taking certain news articles down, or they would change the wording of it. They'll do a number of different things to try to, hide their agenda. All right, let me bear with me 1 second. I'm just copying this over. All right, almost done. All right, here we go. Now, let me make sure the presentation, yeah. And let me make sure that it's good. All right, here we go. All right. So here's an article from my old presentation. Let me go back here. All right. Netanyahu promises Talmud will be Israeli law. Now look at here, right? It reads, report, Netanyahu promises Talmud will be Israeli law. This article is from September 5th, 2014. Netanyahu tells Likud Haredi leader Hebrew calendar will be official calendar of state of, well, that's getting some other stuff here, but the key is Netanyahu promises Talmud will be Israeli law. This is what he says here. Prime Minister Ben Yamin Netanyahu reportedly revealed at a Likud conference on Wednesday some remarkable facts or facets of the basic law he submitted last Thursday, which would enshrine Israel's status as the nation state of the Jewish people. That's important too, right? They don't care about the heritage, the culture, the history of the ancient Israelites. They only care of creating what is called a Jewish state, a new Jewish state. And I'll show the sources to prove that, right? But nevertheless, which would enshrine Israel's status as the nation state of the Jewish people. The new law would establish the Talmud, the core work of Jewish law, as an official basis for Israeli state law. I'm going to do, this is his quote, I'm going to personally be involved in the law defining the state of Israel as the nation state of the Jewish people, Netanyahu reportedly told Viter. It's a very important law that will influence how Israel will look in the future. All right. So this is where you start understanding a lot of the things that we see here that plays out, because there's a lot of wicked things that are inside the Talmud. There's a lot of things that is permitted inside the Talmud. This is why certain things happen, like what occurred with the head of security, cybersecurity, that got caught in a sex ring, a pedo ring in Las Vegas, Nevada. And guess what happened? Mysteriously, he was given bail. He made bail, and now he was able to go back over to Israel. Why is that? Why is that? So many pedos are able to find safety by going back, or going to. I'm not going to say going back, because we already know the truth here about that whole thing. I'll let this particular commentator share his thoughts on what we see happening, right? The 1948. Just listen what he says, and then we'll touch on what the Talmud says about this, as well as what's interesting about the fierce nation of Japheth about pedophilia.
There are Ashkenazi Jews who are entirely European in their DNA. That's why you're not allowed to have a DNA test in Israel, because it will reveal that virtually none of them are Semitic, virtually none of them have any ancestral connection to the land. I was viciously assaulted by a manager in the BBC who had recently converted to Judaism. It's fine. I love all religions. But you can't say I've now converted to Judaism and therefore I have a right to go to the land of Palestine and live in the house of someone whose ancestors have been living in it for thousands of years.
All right, so you heard what he had to say. I'm not going to say anything addition to what he said. That he pretty much summed everything up. I want to say this to you, brothers and sisters. I want to say this to you. We have to understand what heritage is. All of these Abrahamic faiths, they came together to make sure, according to the 83rd book of Psalms, this crafty council came together to make sure that they erase our history from the memories of us. That's a fact. That's what they did. To make sure that we embrace anything and everything but our true culture. And if we choose to embrace our true culture, then there's a condition. It's conditional. It's conditional. It's conditional. Let me show you the conditions. These are the conditions that they place on us embracing our identity. This is the crossroad that each one of us, that they're going to put before us, right, in order to accept that we are the people of the book.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israel, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said.
No, we don't have.
So many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes, and I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
So that's what we're facing right now, family. Now, have you noticed? I've noticed it. Many of our brothers and sisters that began to embrace this Israeli language, they start not believing in the Messiah. They start denouncing the Messiah. They start picking up all these different things that are written inside this Talmud. You start hearing quotes, talking points saying that, well, they preserved Torah. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't preserve anything. They created another Torah. Or should we say, an other Torah. The Most High didn't create that. They created that. So this is why it's imperative, family, for us to understand what is our heritage and what the biblical texts say about heritage. And I've been teaching this lesson for quite some time, 10 plus years. What is biblical heritage? You have to understand this, family. Let me bring it to you this way. Let's use the scriptures to define it, right? Look at what it says here. These are the sons of Shem after their families, Masha, Paka, in their tongues, Lashan, in their lands, Arats, after their nations, Gawayam. So lands, family, and tongues. Those are the pillars of what defines a nation. And within those objects, right, or not within those objects, or should I say all of those objects, are part of what is called heritage, which are valued objects. Let's break this down real quick. Let me go here. According to scripture, matter of fact, let me rewind it here. These are the Masha Paka, in other words, families of the sons of Noah after their generations in their Gawayam nations. And by these were the Gawayam nations divided in the earth after the flood. So according to scripture, the biblical definition of a nation is land, family, and tongues. This can be confirmed with Oxford Dictionary definition of nation, right? And when we go to their definition of nation, look at what it says. It's going to confirm Torah. It's going to confirm what we just read out of the scriptures. Large body of people, right? That's family, united by common descent, history, culture, language, right? Land, family, what? Language, land, inhabiting a particular country. So that's land or territory. Land, people of common descent, family, and then we see language, okay? So according to scripture, the Oxford Dictionary, right? According to scripture, the Oxford Dictionary, as we just read, it tells us that a nation is defined by a large body of people united by common descent, language, inhabiting a particular, or should I say, particular country or territory. So how do we define family? When we go to Cambridge, look at how it defines family. Social group of parents, children, sometimes grandparents, uncles, aunts, and others who are related, right? And when we go to families, right, Bayath, when we deal with families, right, the bloodline, look at this here. A house, especially family, homeborn, household, okay? So it could be a physical structure, but here we're dealing with the bloodline. So every nation consists of families, every family consists of tribes, every tribe consists of households, and every household foundation is centered around marriage. So what does family, tongues, land, and nations represents? What does family, right? Masha Paka, tongues, Lashan, and land, Arat, or, I was going to say Aratazad, that is Arat, and nations represent? Well, the families, the tongues, the land, and nation represents valued objects, which is called heritage. And when we go to define heritage, look at what it says. Valued objects. That's the key. Valued objects, qualities such as cultural traditions, unspoiled countryside, historical buildings that have been passed down from previous generations. See, when people hijacked our identity, when they hijacked our land, our family, our language, and they began to interpolate these things, they began to pick and choose what they choose to accept and what they choose to reject. That's why you see the Talmud. That's why you see within Christianity, you see the doctrines within the Roman Catholic Church, which the Protestant movement comes from. You'll see how they purposely came up with directives not using the Father's name and using generic constructs of Lord and God that points to deities of another group called the Norse people. All right? So according to Oxford Dictionary, heritage is defined as valued objects, cultural traditions, unspoiled countrysides, buildings that have been passed down from previous generations. And these are the very things that the crafty council, the 83rd book of Psalms, they attacked. So according to scripture, each of Noah's sons had a heritage that consists of family, tongue, lands, and nations. All right? So what is the key component in the restoration of the true ancient Israelites? We see this here in Exodus chapter 6, verse 6. Wherefore say to the children of Israel, I am Yahweh. I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgment. I will take you to be for a people, and I will be to you a Alahayim, and ye shall know that I am your Alahayim, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of Egypt, of the Egyptians. I will bring you in unto the land. So that's the key. I will bring you in unto the land, concerning the which I did swear to give it to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will give it to you. I will give it you for an heritage. I am Yahweh. So we see the scriptures, a key component with our heritage is what? Land. That's what it says right here. That's what it says right here with them coming out of Egypt. So going back over to Genesis 10, because this is very important for you guys to understand. And I'm not going to go through all of these today. I encourage you guys to go back. I have a lesson on this to review this. I'm actually doing a series on this at our temple. And I'm going through the entire book of Genesis. I'm going from chapter by chapter, verse by verse, and we're right now on Genesis 10, and we've been on this for like almost a month, going through the descendants of Japheth, identifying who's who. Because if you don't identify who's who, then you're going to continue to perpetuate the errors, the deception of Judaism, the deception of Christianity, Catholicism, and Islam. That's right. All of them are teaching incorrectly when it comes to Genesis chapter 10. When you start understanding how to identify, see who's who, then you can understand the deception. Then you can understand the crafty counsel in its fullness. All right. So these are the sons of Gomer. Japheth rather. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, Tyrus. Goes on to say, and the sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, Togarmah, the sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarnish, Kittim, and Dodanim. And I can tell you, they all caused problems for the ancient Israelites. Now I could go through here and read all of these, but I want to make sure you get this one key point, right? By these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands everyone after his tongue, Lashan, after their families, Mashapaka, and their nations, Gawayam. Now, I want to make sure I put this disclaimer out here because you have trolls that have been trolling even our Shabbat services, trying to say what kind of Hebrew I teach here and all this other crazy stuff. I'm going to make it clear. I teach the language of Judah. I teach Judah's language that is highlighted in Nehemiah chapter 13. I don't teach all this other stuff. If it sounds similar to what others are teaching, so be it, because this is one of the things that many of these people play on you with. Now, within the camps, right, they call what they're teaching Lashawan Quadash. I don't refer to that. I don't use that term. And some, I understand where they're coming at from that with that, and I'm not going to knock it, right? Because not everything that they're teaching is wrong. But this is what Christianity, this is what the colonized mindset will have you do, just like many of our brothers and sisters in this awakening. Oh, the camps, man, they got a bad reputation. So guess what? When you hear Lashawan Quadash, even though we teach the language of Judah, right? We teach Yahweh Lashan. Lashan is the primitive root word of Lashawan. So it would be Lashan Quadash, but we teach Lashan Yahweh the language of Judah. That's what we teach, the language of Judah. All right. And again, go to Nehemiah chapter 13, you'll see that phrase. But anyway, this is how they keep us divided, right? They will say, they'll bring up, oh, wait, the camps, they're bad. They this, they that, they this, they that. And I'm not saying that all camps are good, and I'm not saying all camps are bad. Just like in this awakening, even though many of our brothers and sisters are not part of the camp, but guess what? Many of them are good, many of them are bad. That's just the facts. But what religion has done to us is to try to say, hey, there's the bad guy, just like Tony Montana. Say hello to the bad guy. So they cause us to separate from each other, cause us to start distancing ourselves and not want to receive the truth. Guess what? They are correct that the Father's name is Yahweh. They are correct that the Son's name is Yahweh Shah. With an A, not an I, Yahweh Shah. Right? They are correct when they say when they say the Holy Spirit, Rawak Ha Quadash. They're correct. See, and I know I'm getting a little away from the lesson here, but this is the delusion that they teach. This is the deception. This is how they keep us divided. I get a lot of comments of like, hey, why are you posting Candace Owens video clips? Family, you guys know I don't roll with Candace Owens. I don't roll with all the stuff that she has touched on. But guess what? One thing I do agree with her is how she's been going at the 1948ers with facts. But see, this is what religion did to us. Religion has us taking on the mindset of how the slave masters suppressed our people to put our heads down and say, that's master being master. Let master do. Hey, don't let master come into your house. You don't cause trouble for yourself if you call yourself trying to expose something. If you try to stand up to master, you could be jeopardizing your own household. So let master do what master going to do. I grew up in the projects. Yeah, that's that phrase that sound good. My name ain't Paul. That's between y'all. I ain't Bennett. I ain't in it. To allow people to come up into your neighbor's doorsteps, kick in their door, rob them and steal it, and then you just let them do it. Hey, I have nothing to do with it. I ain't in it. That is the slave mindset that they've taught us. Come on now. I disagree with the things that Candace Owens has said about BLM in terms, especially when you get to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. I disagree with Candace Owens. You guys see, and I got the videos that's up with the sister that got gunned down in her apartment over a pot of hot water that she didn't have in her hand at the time when she got gunned down. And I got the videos to show it. It's still on my live. It's still on my platform. How I called Candace Owens out about it because she defended the police officer. But when you get to this truth right here, I'm trying to get that accent here. When you start dealing with this right here, it's truth. This right here, she's telling the truth when she's going in about the 1948ers. See, family, truth is truth regardless, even if a liar quotes the truth, doesn't take away from the truth being the truth. The truth is still the truth. $100 bill is still $100 bill, whether a thief has it in his hand or whether a banker has it in his hand. An investor, it is still a $100 bill. It still has the same value. But we've been led down this point of action, right? This angle of attack that, hey, you're evil. So guess what? You can't say anything. I don't want to hear nothing from you. And because of that, now we got this thing circulating around our community saying, let them fight. This is none of our business. Keep to ourselves and let them sort it out. Family, nah, we got to, even though they're fighting among themselves, but the ultimate fight is against us. Remember, I said this over a year ago. What you see happening overseas in Israel is a dress rehearsal on what they're going to do here inside the land. Some of you guys that have been following me, am I right? Did I not say that? The videos are there. We can't sit here and say we're just going to put our hands in the sand. No, we got to show up to the battlefield too. Now, the difference is the Most High will say, guess what? The battle is not yours, it's mine. Guess what? But we still have to show up. We still have to be ready. That's the point. We have to be in a state of readiness that if the Most High say, go and enter in and take the spoils, guess what? We got to be ready. See, the threat came to Israel. 3 nations came to Jehoshaphat as he was king of Israel. The threats came to him. And guess what? They went into a prayer. They went into fasting. Then when they got to the battlefield, that's when the Most High took over. So again, I don't agree. I'm not rocking with all of what her ideology is, but she's telling the truth about the 1948ers. Show me a Tariq Nasheem shutting down 2 rabbis and Piers Morgan all in 1 year. Show me. Come on, family. So I just want to make sure you guys understand, family. I'm not endorsing her, but guess what? We got to give her credit. Did she not do that? If I'm incorrect, type it in. I'm wrong. Did she not shut down 2 rabbis and Piers Morgan in 1 year? All last year. I got the videos that are up. Show me a Tariq Nasheem and any of these other big time content creators who also is going in on her. Show me them saying this to the face of a rabbi. Let me pull it up here. Show me any one of them. Like Rakim say, if you got more, I'll wait. But don't wait. Don't make me wait too long because I'm going to move on. Show me any of them saying this directly to a rabbi.
And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley.
And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley.
The fact that you would try to say, I am Jewish, and this is what I believe, and do and say the things that you are doing. People can see and hear evil, and what you are doing right now is an act of evil. The lies that you are telling, not just on me, but also on my family members, are a good example for the world to see what we are referring to when we call something radical Zionism.
Did she not shut him down? Now, I'm going to say this for some of those that in the comment section, I just kick someone out. One thing we don't do, even though I don't rock with Candace Owens, I don't rock with a lot of the people that are selling our community out, but you'll never hear me call them a coon. You'll never hear me call them bed wenches and all these other stuff. You're just as bad as the people that's coming at our community when you use these terms. I don't use that stuff here. That name calling, you know different than. especially when you start understanding the details of a bed winch, especially when you start understanding the details of what a cone is. A cone, guess what? A barracone, a baraka, is a holding place, a place that our ancestors were stored in. It's a dungeon. And then we want to take these terms and throw it in the face of our own people. Hey, I don't rock with her. I don't rock with any people that's selling out our community. Guess what? I'll pull out Hollywood Shuffle, as you just heard me do. I'll go there, but I'm not calling them those words, those vicious words that even the very people that have enslaved us have used towards our community. No, I'm not rocking with that. So if you got name calling, take the name calling elsewhere. If you want to deal with the coons, if you want to deal with the bed wenches, take that stuff elsewhere. We're not rocking with that stuff over here. We should be able to post comments and have a great conversation without inserting foolishness like that. Would you do that over on the 1948ers platforms? So again, I don't use certain terms. Trust me, I done called her out. I called many out. But one thing you never heard me use is the word coon. You won't hear me use bed winches. You won't hear me state none of the above. Because that's not biblical. That's not scripture. That's not showing love. Starting with our people. You're actually pushing the agenda of the other people to push these terms and to attach these terms to our people. Now, guess what? Do I agree in the spaces that she did? Absolutely, I disagree with. But I'll say this again. Show me one person that has got into these spaces with this truth or going at the 1948ers. I'll wait. Look at how even those that was going at her now showing up saying that she's right. Look at how she's been railing against the 1948ers for what, the past year and a half? Now she got Megyn Kelly changing her stance towards them. She even had this person that lost his life that was assassinated a few weeks ago. He was changing his stance. She have a number of people talking about it now, questioning the agenda of this reckless, fierce nation of Japheth. Guess who was the first one to stand 10 toes down on Kyrie Irving? Y'all know who it was? It was Candace Owens. Candace Owens was the first one to come out publicly and stand 10 toes down with Kyrie Irving, but no one talks about that. I have the video on here for those that, if those that may say I'm lying. Kanye West. Now, one time has she thrown Kanye West under the bus. She stood 10 toes down. Problem with Kanye West, if Kanye West was able to articulate himself and really stay focused, he could be much more effective. But guess what? We already know the end results of that. But she stood 10 toes down defending them. Come on, family. If we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. But I'll say it again. She stood 10 toes down, standing up for Kyrie Irving. Actually, according to her testimony, that's what really drove her to the path that she's on right now. So again, show me what Stephen A. Smith did. I can tell you what Stephen A. Smith did. Tell me what Shaq did. Show me what Charles Barkley has done. Show me what Kendrick Perkins has done. Oh, I have the videos on this channel. They all threw her up under the bus, or Kyrie Irving up under the bus, rather. They threw him up under the bus. But Jaylen Brown, Jason Williams, I can't remember the other basketball player, but I have them on this channel. Oh, they stood up for him. I can't remember the basketball player that was married to one of the Kardashians. Not Lamar Odom, but it's the other one. Oh, the video is still up on this channel. Roland Martin threw him up under the bus. All of those guys threw him up under the bus. But who stood 10 toes down? Come on, family. They always manipulate us to be the watchdogs. Self-checked. No, it wasn't Lamar Odom. It was the other basketball player that was dating that I think he was married to, whatever, to the same woman that Lamar Odom was married to. I can't think of his name, but he used to play for Cleveland. He was part of the championship team for Cleveland. It wasn't Lamar Odom. But anyway, but you guys, I'm just saying this from a perspective of, Chris Thompson, that's him, Chris Thompson. So what I'm saying is, family, what I'm saying, all of this to say, not Christian, no, I said Chris Thompson, Tristan Thomas. That's actually his proper name. Thank you, Mr. Soul. Really appreciate it. So why am I saying this, family? Don't get caught up in that tool that they use to keep us divided. Now, someone asked, do I think she know who we are? I know for sure she knows who we are. Well, actually, I'm not going to say that. I believe 100% she knows. But she has herself in a tight position, right? I'll leave it at that. She's in a peculiar position. That's why, when you read Nehemiah chapter 13, right, you can see why things were put in place, why he had to do certain things and move in certain spaces. Because guess what? That thing can have a rippling effect. Your decisions, who you marry, and all that stuff. I believe she know who the people of the book is. All the research she went into the 1948ers, all the research she went into Bridget Macron, and she's connected with Kanye West. She saw Ron Dalton's work. There's no doubt in my mind you cannot come out of that and say you haven't done your full due diligence. I'll leave it at that, family. So let me show you one point here, because I did mention about the pedophilia, because I'm not going too deep in this here. Let's skip down here. Let me show you just how fierce the descendants of Japheth is. Right? You guys already know I talked about this, but let's go to 2 Thessalonians, just so that way we understand. Actually, let's highlight two things here. This prophecy right here, Genesis 9:27. Look at what it says here. Allahayim shall patha, in other words, enlarge, Japheth, Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, or Sham. And Canaan, in other words, Canaan, shall be his servant. Family, when you read this on the surface, and many commentaries will use this or make this as if this is a positive prophecy. Let me see if this, I don't have it here, because I was trying to see if it had it here. Verse 27, but it doesn't have it here with the commentary, so I can use this as an example, but it's not on the screen. But anyway, they'll try to make this into something good, but it's not. And I'm going to show you here what this word enlarge means. Patha. Let's see what it means. Enlarge. It says here, to be open. An example, be roomy, but it goes on to say, in a sinister way. That's the part we got to make sure we understand. In a sinister way. Delude, allure, deceive, enlarge, entice, flatter, persuade, silly one. So what this is telling us, that the Most High is allowing, in this prophecy, Japheth to carry out his agenda. He's allowing Japheth, just like whenever Israel got into sin, what did the Most High do? Who did he use to pass judgment on him? It was to carry out his chastisement. He always used other nations to carry out his chastisement on the Israelites. And that's what this is right here. This is nothing positive about this prophecy. So connecting the historical roles of Japheth's descendants to these spiritual dynamics emphasizes how this enlargement through power, through influence, often occur at the expense of Shem's descendants, manifesting in various forms of persecution, oppression, and spiritual subjugation. So this prophecy connects with the prophecy of the son of perdition. Well, let's go to the son of perdition. Would I ask you that, guys? You guys, the question at the beginning. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshipped, so that he as Yahweh sitteth in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh. So the key to this attribute, to this son of perdition, is that the son of perdition wants to be worshiped. Think about it. Think about it. Now, I'm going to give you an answer here, because I see, TA, you posted, you think that Trump is the son of perdition. No, Japheth is the son of perdition. His descendants, his bloodline, all of them come from the son of perdition. Right? They are a part of the bloodline of who? The son of perdition. That's why Genesis chapter 9:27 is so vital to understand. The son of perdition is Japheth, and all his descendants, guess what? They are connected to him. Let me show you something real quick, because I mentioned worship. Let me show you. This is coming from a Mason's source, a Masonic source. Let me show you what they say about God, right? And look at how God points to the worship of this key person here. Let's see what it says here. This is coming from the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, all right? Look at what it says. God, God, the initial of Gomer Oz Dabar. Notice what you see here. You see the word Gomer in the initials of God. It is a singular coincidence of worthy of thought that the letters composing the English name of deity should be the initials of the Hebrew word wisdom, strength, beauty. The three great pillars of metaphorical supports of masonry. They seem to present almost the only reason why and reconciling Mason to the use of the initial G. In its conspicuous suspension in the east of the lodge, in the place of the delta, the incident seemed to be more than an accident. So that word God, right, is really pointing to the worship of Gomer in Freemasonry. That letter G, because for those that are on the lower levels, the first 3 degrees, you'll learn that letter G means geometry, because you'll be taught that geometry is the universal language. It's that mathematics is the foundation of all. But as you go further up, guess what? You learn the true essence of what Gomer means. You start learning that as you go up in these advanced degrees, that is going to what? Pull you right into the Kabbalah. It's going to pull you right into Jewish mysticism. So you see here the worship of Gomer. This is something that you're not going to know on the first 3 degrees. You're going to know this once you start advancing. So this is the worship of who? Gomer, right? They even say in their own source. So this is to promote the worship of Gomer. Remember, we said the attributes of Japheth is what? Want to be worshipped. The attributes of all these people that have enslaved our people, they want to be what? Worshipped. Even inside the what? Church, they have what? The Star of David there. They want to be worshipped. In all these religious systems, they make it a point to have the worship of Gomer. In the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope is worshipped. In the Christian Church, guess what? That pastor, that apostle, that bishop, they all what? Want to be worshipped. That is the spirit of Japheth. That is the son of perdition. That is the attributes of the son of perdition. I hope that helps you guys. Hope that helps you guys. I'm looking here. Does that make sense, family? So we see Gomer, but Gomer is only the son of who? Japheth. And in this lesson, family, I went through and some of this is in some of my foundational teachings. I went through each one of the major players within the Japheth and showed how each one of them was, wicked towards our people, wicked towards the children of Israel, which leads me to this point right here. Look at here. Look at here. Deuteronomy. Look at it. Deuteronomy 28, verse 49 and 50. This is a key prophecy that exposes who the son of perdition is and all of him and all of his descendants. Look at this here. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far from the end of the earth, as swift as eagle flieth, a nation whose lashon, in other words, tongue, in other words, language, thou shalt not shamai, in other words, discern, shall not understand. But look at this here. A nation of fierce countenance. A nation of what? Fierce countenance. That's right. I'm going geek mode now. Now you guys done stirred me up here. Which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. But look at what fierce means. Look at what fierce means. Look at what fierce means, family. Look at here. Azah. Look at what it means. It says vehement, harsh, fierce, greedy. That's right, family. That's right. The descendants of Japheth, the nations, the fierce nations of Japheth, they are fierce, they are greedy. Now, let me show you something that a president has said about this community that today will be considered anti-Semitic. Let me bring it up real quick, family. You guys got me going geek mode, man. Let me see here. Let me show you what this president said. Let me show you what this president said. Let me show you what this president said. Come on, come on. All right, it's taking a second to pull up here. Let me show you what this president said. Let's show what this president said. He went in because he got irritated by the same people, because he got a whiff of exactly what they were doing, right? Let me pull it up real quick. You guys are going to know this right here. This is not anything new that I've been teaching. Let me see here. Oh, come on now. Now it's acting up here. All right, let's see here. All right, let me pull it up here. Yeah, he got frustrated. He was the same one that signed that letter and crossed it off, making sure that these guys are recognized properly, not as the territory not called a Jewish state. He made sure that that didn't happen by crossing off that letter that made it official. He crossed off Jewish state and wrote Israel on it. And that's the only reason why that territory is not called the Jewish state. Let me see if I can pull it up here. All right, bear with me 1 second, family. All right, look at what he said here. Let me pull it up here. Man, these people are not playing. All right, I'm going to copy this over. Yeah, I'm going to copy both of these over. You guys know how we do here. We like to show sources. Let me copy these two over into this presentation. Since you guys done stirred me up, man. I'm going to have to blame Sister Carol. I just noticed her in the building. I blame you, Sister Carol. Got me stirred up. All right, let's go here. All right. I'll drop this right here since you're already here. All right. Now let's return to this. Oh, Fierce Nation, right? I need to put it near Fierce Nation. All right. All right. Here we go. I'm going to place it right here. That's right. I'm going to put it right afterwards. All right. There we go. Here we go. Now I got it. Here we go. Let's see what this particular president had to say. This is a quote from President Harry Truman. This is his quote. And I'm telling you, they when I say they, these people are trying to erase history because this used to be easily accessible, this information, through his library, his presidential library. That's how I was able to get this. And this is why I take screenshots, because now if you go to it, it's going to be hard for you to get these screenshots that I have. But look at this here. He says, yet when they, in other words, the 1948ers, have power, physical, look at this, physical, financial, or political. Neither Hitler nor Stalin has anything on them for cruelty, right? But look at the law. This is coming from his library, Truman Library. This is an actual screenshot, family, right? As you see here, today's hour, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is just giving you an actual screenshot to show you this is how it originally used to look. It changed, and now it's hard to get to this information. I had the original screenshots. I even had the video when I first came across this. Said, hey, let me videotape this, because at that time they started changing sites. They started changing even ancient Hebrew sites that I would use as a reference to now they put all this Israeli stuff on it. Now you can't even tell what's the truth. You can't even go to the Wayback Machine and other channels to try to pull this out of the archives. So look at what he says here. And this is what these screen shots are, but I'm going to read directly from his quote here. I'm going to zoom it in. So that way no one can say that no one can say that I am misrepresenting the source, right? Look at what he says here. The 1948ers, I'm just going to use that here. I find, look at what it says. The 1948ers, I find, are very, very selfish. They don't care about how many Estonians, Latvians, Finns, Poles, Yugoslavs, or Greeks get murdered or mistreated as displaced persons, as long as, let me scroll a little, I don't have a mouse here, as long as, let me pull it over here, as long as 1948ers get special treatment when they have power, physical, financial, political. Neither Hitler nor Stalin has anything to do on them for cruelty or mistreatment to the underdog. Put an underdog, look at what he says, put an underdog on top, and it makes no difference whether his name is Russian, Jewish, Negro, management, labor, Mormon, Baptist, he goes haywire. I found very, very few who remember their past conditions when prosperity comes. This is his own words. Now I'm going to drop the link inside the comment section. I hit the wrong one. Let me go back here. I'm going to drop the link inside the comment section. This is the original link to the screenshots. Tell me if you guys could find what what I have on the screen here. Let me go ahead and post this inside the comment section. I'm going to show you why they had a hard time trying to label him as being anti-Semitic. Why? Because he played a major role with them being in the position that they are in right now. But apparently, I just believe that the Most High moved, right? The Most High, whatever frustrations he was dealing with at the moment, he did something that was very key to change the course of what that territory would be named, labeled today, because he was literally trying to, not he, but they, 1948ers, was literally trying to name this territory the new Jewish state. Now, let me prove that. All right, let me prove that. Let me bypass here. This is what I read here. All right, so look at this here. President Harry Truman, in 1948, he refused to recognize the new fledgling state of Israel as a Jewish religious state. Look at this here. This is, and I'm going to drop this link here if it's still up there. That's why I take screenshots. I learned my lesson. As you can see, I learned a lot of lessons taking screenshots of everything. That's why I do my presentations in the way that I do it, so that way no one can say that I'm lying. So I have the original screenshots, and I just incorporated that in the presentation to serve as a historical document. So if I ever have to deal with any type of legalities, guess what? I'm covered. That's why I do my presentations a certain way. You know, and I noticed that a couple of other channels got hindered, all because of what? They were not showing actual sources. They debating people from this community, and if you don't really give proper sources, guess what? Your words can get twisted. So I don't debate or anything like that. I just show the information. And if they want to say that I'm wrong, you got to go up against all these sources right here. So look at this right here. Look at this right here. Look at this right here. So this is that letter, and I'm gonna zoom in so that way you guys can know what I'm doing or what I'm reading from. The government has been informed that a Jewish state has been proclaimed in Palestine, and recognition has been requested by the provisional government thereof. The United States recognizes the provisional government as the de facto authority of the what? Look at what you see here. You see the new Jewish state being crossed out and referred to it as the state of Israel. Had he not done this, then this is basically saying the religious state of Israel. I mean, the religious state, the new Jewish state, the Judaism state. That's all it would have been called, the new state of the new Jewish state. Do you know that they have a Jewish state over in Russia? They was going to make what's that oh, now I can't think. It's oh, I gotta pull it up in my presentation. I can't think of the name of Uganda. They was targeting Uganda to be a new Jewish state. They were targeting Texas. They was targeting territory in Canada. Come on, family. They was targeting. If you're saying that you are the true people, why are you targeting all these areas? Why are you not targeting what's supposed to be your homeland? Come on, family. Why all of these different movements? Why is these different territories even in discussion? So, as you see here, Harry Truman, look at here, May 14th, 1948. That's why I get the term 1948ers. But anyway, this is him making it clear that something pricked him to cross out this Jewish state, new Jewish state, and write over it the new state of Israel. This is his own handwriting. And I just took a screenshot so you can see it close up. Come on, family. The fierce nation of who? The fierce nation of who? The fierce nation of who? These people are not playing. When I say these people, the fierce nations of Japheth is not playing. Let me show you another thing, right? This is dealing with the fierce nation of Japheth, right? Look at this prophecy right here, right? We already dealt with the enslavement of our people. You guys know this source here. For those that may be watching for the first time, you guys know this here, Slavery in the Catholic Church. You can download this book for free, this PDF for free, and you could go to page 52 and 53, and you'll see exactly what it says. And look at what right here, the key that I want you guys to hone in on. Portuguese were anxious to establish their property rights over their newly discovered West African territories, and so Pope Nicholas V, Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, was approached and was apparently led to believe that these territories of the Guinea coast were inhabited by Saracens and other enemies of Christendom. So they're making it clear that our ancestors were not Muslims. They were not practicing Islam. They targeted us. Well, what were they practicing? They were practicing Torah, which is documented, in which when you study about Timbuktu, guess what? The Muslims there destroyed Hebrew manuscripts. But this is the key. There is no other explanation of a series of papal documents which applied the well-known contemporary rules of war to the situation in West Africa. Come on, family. This was not a slave trade. This was a world war on a massive, massive level. When we talk about the Holocaust, right? This right here, the Holocaust compared to this, and the amount of amount of people involved in the transatlantic world war, the Arabic slave trade, the India slave trade. When you start bringing all of these together, and you incorporate what King Leopold has done, you're talking anywhere from 150 to 200 million people raped, murdered, kidnapped. And we as a people, we are prisoners of war. We're the prisoners, the descendants of prisoners of war. I'll use that term. We are descendants of the prisoners of war. Come on, family. We are the descendants of prisoners of war, right? But let's fast forward here. I'm not going to go into this here. Let me get to a key point here. Let me go to this key prophecy right here. And then we'll wrap it up. Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons, thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail, longing for them all the day long. And there shall be no might in thine hand. So let's see how brutal these people are. Let's see how brutal these people are. Let me read that again. Deuteronomy 28:32. Let me show you how fierce these people are. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail, longing for them all the day long, and there shall no might be in thy hand. So our sons, or should I say, we are the sons, we are the daughters that was given into another people, right? This fierce nation, right? And let's see how fierce they were or continue to be. This thing that really stood out to me in this source when I taught this like years ago, this is a great source. The Keys of This Blood, right? Gives a lot of information here. But one of the things that really stood out for me was this right here, this quote that I'm highlighting here. It says here, right? Rumors always difficult to verify tied its installation to the beginning of Pope Paul VI's reign in 1963. Indeed, Paul alluded somberly to the smoke of Satan, which has entered the sanctuary. When they do the voting, an oblique reference to an enthroned ceremony by Satanists and the Vatican. Besides the incident of satanic pedophilia. This is what really stood out too as well. Pedophilia, satanic, look at what it says. The incident of satanic pedophilia, rites and practices, which it says it was already documented among certain bishops and priests as widely dispersed in Turin and Italy and South Carolina. Wait a minute. Look at here, South Carolina. Why is that important? This territory, South Carolina. South Carolina is what they refer to as Charleston, South Carolina. What they refer to as little Jerusalem, because you have the Judaism there, you have Catholicism there, and you have Islam there. And the people that designed that whole city, they were out of the Solomon Temple, number one. Oh, come on, family. See how deep this thing goes? Come on, family. Look at this here. The cultic acts of satanic pedophilia. Look at this here. The cultic acts of satanic pedophilia are considered by professionals to be the culmination of the fallen angel. Look at it. The fallen archangel's rights. That's right, family. I'm quoting from here. Oh, let me go back here. Oh, man. Let me go back here. Oh, I thought I had my other slide up. I'm not making this up, family. Let me move this down so you can see the full quote. See, the playbook is if they cannot contest anything that you say, then they have to demonize you to make you look crazy. That's what we see playing out right now. You can tell those that are paid by this fierce nation is they all start sounding the same and saying the same thing. I saw one channel make up some lies, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm looking at it, I was like, no, she didn't say that about Candace Owens. I was like, she didn't say that. I got the video clip of what she said. But blatantly making up lies, saying that they're taking a neutral approach to the information. All right, look at here. I'm just moving this out the way so you can see the back. All right, I'm gonna pull it up here so I can see the last sentence. All right. So when you see at the bottom where it says no John Paul needed, no one to tell him that Fatima or Fatima, however you want to pronounce it, timetable was running in vigor. But nevertheless, just kind of don't want to get too deep into this stuff here. But you see that they had a cultic act of pedophilia, which they refer to as the fallen angel rites. The fallen angel rites. So let's go to the Talmud, right? Let's go to the Talmud. Let's go to the Talmud. Let me go here. What does the Talmud say about pedophilia? Let's see what the Talmud says. This is not me making it up. Sanhedrin 54b. In the case of a male child, a young one is not regarded as on a par with an old one, but a young beast is treated as an old one. What is this meant? What is meant by this, excuse me? Rabbi said, pediastry with a child below 9 years of age is not deemed as pediastry with a child above that. Samuel said, pediastry, or pediasty, excuse me, with a child below 3 is not treated as with a child above that. What is the basis of their dispute? Rabbi maintains that, or Rob, however you want to pronounce it, maintains that only he who is able to engage in sexual intercourse may, as the passive subject of pederasty, throw guilt upon the active offender, whilst he who is unable to engage in sexual intercourse cannot be a passive subject. Oh, wait a minute. You see this? This dealing with whether they're 9 or under 9, 3 or under 3, but this is still dealing with children. But look at what it goes on to say. In the footnotes of the same source, 54b footnotes, the reference is to the passive subject of what? Sodomy. As stated in Super 54a, guilt is incurred by the less active participant, even if the former be a minor, an example, less than 13 years old. However, it is stated that within this age is distinction, a distinction is drawn. Let me read that again. Now, however, it is stated that within this age, a distinction is drawn. So the question is, what is the age of distinction? What is the age of distinction? What is the age of distinction? Look at this here. Look, the age of distinction. Let's bring it up here. This is in the footnote, so that way we're clear on what we're reading, because it can sound all over the place. It can confuse you. Look at here. Rabbi makes 9 years the minimum. Wait a minute. So 9 years the age minimum. But if one committed sodomy with a child of a lesser age, no guilt is incurred. Samuel makes 3 the minimum. So 3 is the minimum. Wait a minute. So you have one say 9 is the minimum, but then it says here, but if they commit sodomy with a child of a lesser age, no guilt is incurred. Samuel makes 3 the minimum. At 9 years, a male attains sexual maturity. Wait a minute. At 9 years, they're saying that a boy is ready. Oh, come on, family. Look at this here. Footnote 26. Leviticus, and this is where they bend and twist the scriptures, because this passage has nothing to do with this here. Leviticus 18, verse 22. Thus, the point of comparison is the sexual matureness of woman, which is reached at the age of 3. Oh, wait a minute. They just said the sexual matureness of a woman is at the age of 3. So justifying sodomy of kids. And brothers and sisters in this awakening have the audacity to be promoting this stuff and saying that this preserved the scriptures. Flee from them, family. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. That's right. There's brothers and sisters in this awakening that is defenders of the Talmud. According to their Talmud, an adult man and woman are allowed to have sexual intercourse with little kids. Look at here, the Ketubah, right? 11b. A small boy who has intercourse with a grown-up woman makes her as though she were injured by a piece of wood, saying that, hey, if a woman violates a boy, they treat it as if she just got a splinter. That's what this is saying. When it says injured by a piece of wood, got a splinter, it's not a big deal. When I said it before Samuel, he said, injured by a piece of wood does not apply to flesh. Some teach this teaching by itself as to a small boy who has intercourse with a grown-up woman. And they look at the choice of words, intercourse. No, this is rape. This is child rape. This is sodomy. This is pedophilia. This is, any perversion you can think of. This is what it is right here. But they use choice of words of intercourse like it's consensual. When they look at here, when a grown-up man has had intercourse with a little girl, or when a small boy has intercourse with a grown-up woman, or when a girl was accidentally injured by a piece of wood, in all these cases, it means this: when a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, it is nothing. Let me read that again. When a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, it is nothing. For when the girl is less than this, it is as if one put the finger into the eye. But when a small boy has intercourse with a grown-up woman, and as you saw, they said 9, that a boy come to sexual maturity at the age of 9, a girl come to sexual maturity at the age of 3. It says here, but when a small boy has intercourse with a grown-up woman, he makes her as a girl who is injured by a piece of wood. So in other words, now that woman is reduced, she's downgraded, her status is downgraded to a girl being injured by a piece of wood. Come on, family. And I'm going to say this, family, because I know we see the term Pharisees and Sadducees. Family, the Talmud has nothing to do with the ancient Pharisees and the ancient Sadducees. This is not even an ancient document. The Talmud began its conception in the 3rd, 4th century. That's a fact. They'll say it with their own words that they began to, like to say that when the Most High gave Moses a Torah, he gave him 2 Torahs, a written Torah and an oral Torah. And then after everything occurred with the Romans invading Jerusalem, they decided in the 4th century to write it down. So we can't even say that the ancient Pharisees that we see in the scriptures were engaging in this stuff. So we don't even want to inject that into the discussion, because I'm pretty confident with scripture we'll see an account on that, and we'll see judgment passed on that, because Torah doesn't play when it comes to this foolishness here. So let's not even put make this into a document that's supposedly be ancient. This is not an ancient document. This is a Middle Age document that was written in the 4th century, but a bulk of it was written when you get to like the 10th and 11th century. So look at this here. When a grown man has intercourse with a little girl, it is nothing. For when the girl is less than this, it is as if one puts the finger into the eye. But when a small boy has intercourse with a grown-up woman, he makes her as a girl who is injured by a piece of wood. And with regards to the case of, right, gives more information. But let's go to the footnotes real quick, because it gave some footnotes, right? So let's go back here, and we're going to toggle between this, right? Right here. Let's go to, I saw 6, right? 6 and 7. So right here where it says a grown-up man has intercourse with a little girl, right? For when the girl is less than this, what is the this? Let's go to 6. Let's go to the footnote 6. Look at 6. Less than 3 years old. You see what I mean? You see how you read this? See, let's go back over to that passage. For when the girl is less than this, what is less than this? Because it says, for when a grown man has intercourse with a little girl, it is nothing. For when the girl is less than this, it is as if one puts the finger in her eye, into the eye. So it's saying that when she's at this age, but they don't put the age here, you have to go to the footnote. So if the girl is less than what age? Let's go to the footnote again. The less than what? 3 years old. Look at here, 6. Less than 3 years old. So it's nothing. That's what they're saying here. And look at what they say is 7. See, this is how you read the Talmud. Now, I know some may say, well, Pastor, you don't know much about the Talmud. Yeah, I know a lot about the Talmud. I understand the apparatic criticus and how it's reading in the sense of Rabbi A say, Rabbi B say, and Rabbi C say. I understand the whole Talmud. I know a lot about the Talmud. But look at this here. So it says here, for when the girl is less than this, in other words, less than 3 years old, it is as if she put one's finger on one puts the finger into the eye. But then it says here, you have 7 here. So what is 7? What is 7? Okay, we got to see 7. What's the reference for 7? Let's go back to 7. Let's go to the footnote so we can properly fill this in. Tears come to the eye again and again. So does virginity comes back to the little girl under 3 years old. So what they're saying here, that if a man violates a little girl that's less than 3 years old, guess what? It's all good because, her virginity is going to come back to her. That's what it says. Tears come to the eye again and again. So does virginity come back to the little girl under 3 years old. Under 3. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. Is this made up information? This is coming from their source. This is their source. This nation is, the nations of Japheth is brutal. Because guess what, family? This is not just with Judaism. This is not just with Christianity. This is also with Islam. How old was one of Muhammad's wives? She was a girl. It's right across the board. That's why I don't subscribe to none of these so-called Abrahamic faiths. This is why the Messiah said when his sign is going to be when we are mourning, the tribes are mourning. In other words, we are saying, you know what? We are cut off. We can't trust none of these people. When we get to that place of saying that what we're doing now is saying we are cutting ourselves off from these religious systems. We're cutting ourselves off from these politics. We're cutting ourselves off from all of this stuff. You know what? That's when things are going to start changing. That's when we're going to see the signs of his return. That's when he is actually going to return, because there's going to be a unified voice tying into the 37th book of Psalms when it says we are lost, we are cut off. In other words, we are hopeless, we are confused, we are ashamed that we actually believed that these systems had our best interests. We were ashamed that the welfare system had our best interests, and they turn around and call our women welfare queens. We thought that this system, we thought that the Democrats had our best interests when the Democrats early on did not want to lose and end slavery, but we thought they had our best interests. They were, during that time, they wanted to keep a system in place to make sure that we stayed subjected to them. And even after slavery supposedly ended, these same people came up with sharecropping, hijacked, deceived our people to going into sharecropping to keep the slavery going on, But then, what? We transitioned over to Republicans. And guess what? Now we thought that they had the best of our best interests when the Republican president said he had no concerns about our well-being of being slaves. He didn't care about us being in slavery. He did not care about us having any rights to voting. He did not care about us being treated as an equal human being. He did not care about any of that. He just cared about saving the Union. But yet we are tossed to or from thinking that these political parties have our best interests. Come on, family. Brothers and sisters pushing for both sides of the same bird. Where are they now? Where are they now? They confirm the scriptures, feel ashamed, feel embarrassed that they actually endorse this foolishness. That's what Matthew chapter 24 is talking about. After the Great Tribulation, it was going to be a mourning. In other words, not the mourning that you think. There's going to be a cutoff. We're going to say enough is enough. Come on, family. All right, family. I went here a little longer than what I wanted to do, but I just, man, y'all see why I'm passionate with what I say and what I do, man. These people not playing. Family, if we talking about coming together, the scriptures make it clear. I got the proof. I taught it yesterday. It starts with understanding the feast days. It starts with understanding the blowing of the trumpets, which is a corporate cry, a corpus battle cry, right? A corporate acknowledgement to the Father, but also a corporate cry to let our enemies know that we're not taking this foolishness anymore. We're not accepting this foolishness anymore. That's what it means. But if we don't understand the basics, it's going to be hard for us to come together. The basics is we need to start coming together by way of what? His feast days. Because the more you understand the feast days, now you're going to understand what salvation and redemption is. You're going to understand exactly what the will of the Father is. But if you teach against it, like many within this awakening are teaching that we don't have to do the feast days and come up with every excuse, or we don't have to obey the law. Come up with every excuse like they still connected to the Roman Catholic Christian Church. Guess what, family? We're sucked in. And I want to say this. I see someone posted the 10 days of awe. That's not biblical. Let me make that clear. The 10 days of awe is not biblical. There's not a single passage in the scripture that talks about a 10 days of awe. You have the blowing of the trumpet, and then you transition to the Day of Atonement. That is part of Jewish mysticism. That's part of Judaism. That's nothing biblical about doing a 10-day of awe. And I just want to be clear, I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, but we came out of Christianity. We came out of Catholicism. We came out of Islam. We came out of the frying pan, and we do not need to jump into the fire. We came out of the frying pan of Christmas. We came out of the frying pan of Easter. We came out of the frying pan of Thanksgiving. We came out of the frying pan of Valentine's Day. We came out of the frying pan of Ash Wednesday. We do not need to jump into the fire of made up holidays, even on this side of the fence, of the 10 days of Ah or Rosh Hashanah. None of that stuff is biblical whatsoever. Whatsoever. Got the sources to prove it. See, this fierce nation of Japheth, they're not playing, family. They left no stone unturned. The 613 laws. Guess what? That's an absolute lie. Now you got me, guys. Now you guys got me going geek mode again. I was trying to tone it down. See what y'all do to the brother? Let me just pull something up real quick. There's no such thing as a 613 law. No such thing. They made that up. That's a mystical number. But guess what? They use that as a talking point, right? The church, to discourage us from honoring the law, statutes, and commandments by saying, hey, if you break one of the 613 laws, you break them all. And there's no such thing as it. Bear with me 1 second. Let me bring this up real quick. Let me just copy this into here, man. I'm telling you, this fourth beast, deception, man. That's the attributes of this fourth beast that Revelation 7 talks about, is deception and manipulation. Let me pull this source up real quick. Did I have it here? Yeah, let's bring this up real quick, family. And let's use sources. And let's stop regurgitating. Once I pull this source out, family, let's cast down that spirit of deception. Let's stop regurgitating it. Once I show you this, let's take this out of our vocabulary and let's continue to spread it to our brothers and sisters as well. All right, let me see here. Bear with me 1 second. All right. I'm just cleaning up this slide a little bit because when you transfer certain slides over, it can have issues with what I'm experiencing now. If not, I'll just leave it the way it is. I was going to try to clean it up. All right, yeah, I'm having the issues with it, but let me go ahead and put this over, bring this over. I can clean it up. Now let's deal with the 613 laws and then we'll close it out. All right, let's close this out with this. All right. Oh man, let me fix this here. Bear with me 1 second, family. Where is it? All right, let me fix this real quick. All right, here we go. All right, family. Just wanted to fix this slide here because it was coming up It was displaying incorrectly. So, are there 613 commands or laws? Are they biblical, or an invention? So, are these 613 commands or laws biblical or an invention? Who created the doctrine of the 613 laws, commands or laws? All right, this is a great source. This is an Israeli, an Ashkenazi 1948er. Times of Israel, are there not 613 biblical commands? Israel Dresden. And see, family, I don't have a problem with pulling truth out of whoever's giving the truth. See, we've been programmed that, hey, he's a liar, but there's something truthful about what he's saying. That's not proper scholarship. When you're going to deal with, like, even a lot of the sources we're pulling from, many of those people from the 18th century, 17th, 18th century viewed us as animals, but they still had truth within some of their doctrine when it comes to, for example, who the Israelites, their appearance of that time, showing that they looked like dark Spaniards. Dark, made sure that they labeled them Moors. Different nuggets like that gives you information. So we should be able to sift through the information and to extract what we need to extract, right? And so that's why going back to what I said about Candace Owens and some of the other people that we may not like, right? But she touching on what she's touching on with the 1948ers is actually pushing our plight that much further along. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, the times of Israel, there are not 613 biblical commands. Israel Dresden, look at what it says here, right? This is the source here, this blog. Despite a rabbinic concept that there are 613 biblical commands, a careful examination produces a much smaller number. Interestingly, in his list of the 613 remedies includes commands that the rabbis were said were biblical in origin, even though they are not explicit in the Torah. The following is from my recent book. So he has a book, and I'm going to make reference to that book. And this is the book that he's making reference to. So in here, he goes on to say, one of the fundamental principles of Orthodox Judaism is the belief that there were both a written and an oral Torah, both of which were revealed by God to Moses. Quite a few Orthodox rabbis declare that if a Jew does not accept this teaching, the Jew is not Orthodox and is a rebel, right? And Epicurus. These rabbis insist upon believing that the oral Torah is divine, even though it differs radically from what is stated explicitly in the written Torah. So they're making it clear this so-called oral Torah, which is the Talmud, that's what he's saying here. These rabbis insist upon believing that the oral Torah, the Talmud, is divine, even though it differs radically from what is stated explicitly in the written Torah. Page 95. Despite the rabbinic concept, there are 613 biblical commands. A careful examination produces a much smaller number. Interestingly, in his list of 613 remedies included commands that the rabbis said were biblical in origin, even though they are not explicit in Torah. Now, this is what he quoted inside that article. Rabbi Simlei's sermon, right? This is the person, Rabbi Simlei, they're making a reference to basically as being the source of this 613 commandments. The first report that the Torah contains 613 commands dates to the 3rd century CE, when Rabbi Simlei mentioned this concept in a sermon recorded in the Babylonian Talmud, Makkot 23b. The Talmud states Rabbi Simlei gave a sermon, right? 613 commandments were communicated. So when we go to the Talmud, right, because that's what they make a reference to, the Talmud 23b, let's go to the Talmud. Let's see what it says here. Talmud 23b, Rabbi Simlei taught that there were 613 mitzvot stated to Moses in the Torah, consisting of 365 prohibitions corresponding to the number of days in the solar year, and 248 positive mitzvot corresponding to the number of a person's limbs. This is getting into mysticism. That's what this is. So as you see here, there is no such thing as a 613 law. Let's continue here. What is the verse that alludes to this? It is written, Moses commanded us the Torah to an inheritance of the congregation of Jacob, right? The Torah, the word Torah in terms of its numerical value. So when we go to Deuteronomy 33, verse 4, and I'm going to read it from verse 1 through 4, it makes no references of some 613 laws, which is an absolute lie. There's no such thing as a 613 laws. There's no such thing as a 613 command. Look at this here. With this is the blessing where with Moses, the man of Alahayim, blessed the children of Israel before his death and he said, Yahweh came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints, in other words, the holy people of Israel, from his right hand, went a fiery law for them. Yea, he loved the people, all of his holy people of Israel, Wadayash, right, are in thy hands. And they sat down at thy feet. Everyone shall receive the words. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. So you don't see anything that alludes to a 613 law, family. That's the point that I want to make sure you understand. There is no such thing as 613 laws. All right? But that's one of the arguments that the church has used to try to discourage us from honoring the law, statutes, and commandments. So it's just that simple, family. So even if we said, let's just say if it was true that there were 613 laws. Do you know that there's over 5,000 federal laws? We're not even going to get into the executive orders, but there's over 5,000 federal laws. Are any of you guys struggling with honoring 5,000 federal laws? No. And there's over 48,000 ordinances, right, to show you how to carry out the 5,000. So that's over, you're talking 53,000. Are you guys struggling with those? The deception is to make you believe that you are, which you're not. How many of you guys wake up concerned about breaking a federal law? You don't. So within the 613 laws, which they're not, there's no such thing as 613 laws, but even the laws that apply to us, like the law of the sacrifices, don't exist anymore. The law of the sacrifices don't exist anymore. So that just eliminated so many laws, and many of those laws of the sacrifices were for the priesthood, not the lay people. So that just eliminates a number of the laws that really are applicable to you and I. See, family, that's the witchcraft that all of us have been subjected to, thinking that there's 613. Oh man, that's insurmountable number. But you don't have a problem with honoring the federal laws. 5,000 of them. But again, not all the laws going to directly apply to you. All right, let me give you clarity, because I see a comment about the royal laws. Let me give you clarity with the royal law, because I did a teaching on the royal law, which got taken out of context, right? The royal law, right? This is what James referred to. He didn't call the 10 Commandments the royal law. What he was referring to was the royal law of loving one another. He didn't use that term to replace the law, statutes, and commandments. But what he was doing is he was saying the royal law, and when he started quoting the commandments that deals with loving one another. So I want to make sure you guys understand that. So that way, because many will say, hey, we only got to abide by the royal law, right? Loving one another. That's not true. So what he was saying, if you break one of those laws of how to love one another, you're breaking them all. That's all he's saying there. But he's not minimizing, he's saying you only follow the laws that apply to loving one another. He didn't disregard what is classified today as the dietary laws. That there's not a single biblical passage that supports that. So that is some of the unfortunately many a handful rather took that lesson and made it into something that was not in that I mean way out of left field, took that teaching and ran with it somewhere else. So I just want to be clear. No, we still have to honor the law, statutes, and commandments. And it's not just the 10, because you have the foundational 10, but then you have commandments that's not listed there that we still have to apply to, right? We have to obey. You have the foundational 10, but then you have the laws and all that to show you how to carry out the 10. You know, so yeah, I just wanted to, and I'm not saying that that's your intention, Miss Rita, but I'm just giving clarity on it because I know my teaching has gotten taken out of context by some individuals and they ran with it in a different space. But I just want to make sure that we understand that when James was dealing with the royal law, he was dealing with loving one another. And that's what Christ talked about. Christ didn't change any of the laws. Christ was asked, what is the greatest commandment out of all the commandments? What's the greatest? So instead of saying one, he said, loving the Father and loving one another. And then he said, on these two commandments, the law and the prophets are going to teach these two key principles. The discussion wasn't about whether or not you have to obey the rest of them. So the first, and I kind of break it down like this, the first, right, 4 commandments is going to teach us to love the Father. And then the next 6 is going to teach us how to love each other. But if we love the Father, we're going to do what? Keep his commandments. So yeah. So I like I said, I definitely understand. I just wanted to just give clarity because I know some has taken that teaching and ran with it. So I really appreciate it. Let me see here. The 10 commandments and the dietary laws I do follow. And the thing about it is, it's more than that, right? Because when you look at how to carry out these 10, look at Leviticus chapter 19 that deals with the law of the commandments of a talebearer. It gives you more clarity on how to love one another. So the commandments is listed there on how we are to love one another, as far as how we are to not, how we are to interact with one another, put it that way. But when we start going into the Torah, some of the other books, it gives more clarity on how to carry it out. But family, let me go ahead and get out of here. I went a lot longer than what I anticipated on going, but I just wanted to take the time out and just share my thoughts here since I was here, at the temple. And I just wanted to do this lesson here. But I encourage you guys, if you haven't, and you want to be part of our Bible study, because the stuff that I'm teaching right now that I pointed out just now, I teach that in our Bible study. A lot of the stuff that I teach, I don't teach. I don't put it on social media anymore. Why? Because we have a lot of trolls out there that's looking to bend, twist stuff up, and take things out of context. So I still teach a lot of detailed stuff, as you guys see. With certain lessons, I just keep it dear to the assembly. And if you guys want, any one of you guys that want to be part of that, in terms of the Bible studies and connect with the ministry beyond We Woke Now, shoot me an email and I will shoot you the links, and you can be connected to the overall family. All right. With that being said, family, I really appreciate you guys. And in the words of the Most High that he gave to Moses, he said to him, "Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, They will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker. We have to hold our peace. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward. And before we wrap up, let me just give these 2 shout outs here. I didn't know that we had a couple of super chats. So Run With Vision, I want to say thank you for the love and support. Do you think she knows? Yeah, we already answered that question. Also, Mr. Soulful, thank you for the super sticker. Really appreciate you guys. Family, with that being said, let me go ahead and get out of here. Really appreciate all the love and support. All right? Be encouraged. Who has the final say? Remember, Yahweh has the final say, no matter what people may say to you. With that being said, Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.